Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on Nationwide. We are live on the network service of the NTA. I'm Hawa Salihu Adaman. As health authorities continue to battle confirmed Lassa fever cases in states across the country, countermeasures against the importation of the novel coronavirus into Nigeria are being strategically instituted. Let's do a quick rundown of some of these countermeasures. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has established a coronavirus preparedness group that includes representatives from ports, health services of the Federal Ministry of Health, among other stakeholders. Thermal screening has been heightened at entry points, particularly for passengers coming from China. Government has also provided a public health advisory to Nigerians on what to do if they suspect that there is a case of coronavirus, as well as how to surveillance, public health laboratory and risk communications capacity. Incidentally, Nigeria has been thrown into the mix of who and under what condition access or entry into the country is permissible and granted. Under the new visa policy of Nigeria, entrance is allowed under 69 classes of visa type, including visa on arrival for African Union member countries. President Muhammadu Buhari, while flagging off the new visa policy, has stated that it will advance Nigeria's goal of building a globally competitive economy by helping attract innovation and specialized skills and knowledge from abroad to complement locally available ones. Essentially, the policy sends a message to the world that Nigeria is open for business. Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. For more on this. Well, while we wait for Victor to be ready for us, let's now go over to our Lagos Network Center for more reports on Nationwide.
Welcome to Ibadan. Federal government has concluded plans to release funds for implementation of independent generating power plants for selected national universities across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Minister of State for Power Godijedi Agba said this during an on-the-spot assessment of the Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife Power Project. Correspondent Rotimi Akamo's report is here presented.
Federal government's determination to build power generating plants in the nation's universities is to enhance academic development through uninterrupted power supply. To implement this policy, Minister of State for Power was at the Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife to inspect the ongoing power generating plant project of the university.
I will go sit down with my team, we'll analyze what is required, what I have here. The consultant has told me, the VC has told me, analyze it and see what degree of funding, what problems they have, come out with a blueprint. And I said the VC will get first-hand information and will tell the community what will happen.
The Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor Eyitope Ogunbodede, highlighted some of the benefits the university community will derive from the new project.
With this project, so we are very sure that our academic work, our research work, even the training of our students, will drastically improve.
The power project, when completed, is expected to generate 8.3 megawatts of electricity for the university community.
6 inmates of Ijebu-Ode and Shagamu custodial centers have regained freedom in the first delivery exercise in the year 2020. Ogun State Chief Judge Justice Musumola Dipeolu assured that the judicial arm of the government in the state will redouble its efforts to fast-track justice delivery and reduce awaiting trial cases to the barest minimum.
Week-long jail delivery exercise across Nigerian Correctional Service custodial centers in Ogun State is geared towards the congesting correctional facilities and also ensure efficiency in dispensation of justice. Ogun State Chief Judge Justice Mosumola Dipeolu urged the Department of Public Prosecution to intensify efforts to hasten justice delivery. As non-governmental organizations and other stakeholders presented cases of some awaiting trial inmates, out of which 3 were released. Vera, who was served 4 months from a 6-month jail term, but regained freedom on compassionate ground due to severe diabetic condition, which led to amputation of her leg. Olarewaju and Gabriel, who have been in custody since 2016 for attempt to defile and robbery, were also released with a stern warning to refrain from antisocial activities.
This issue of no case file is between the police and the Ministry of Justice. Like the DPP said, they are working on it. Things will keep improving.
3 inmates at Shagamu Custodial Center also regained freedom. In Ijebu-Ode, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. Nationwide continues with Awa in Abuja. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Adebola in Ibadan. And moving on, we will now join Abdurrahim in Wuhan, China, that's still on the coronavirus, to get an input from him, a Nigerian student. Hello, Abdurrahim. How are you and how have you been coping with the restriction in place by the Chinese government?
Hello, good evening. I'm fine, I'm very well, I thank God. I'm healthy and everything is okay so far, so good. As regards to restrictions on placed with the Chinese government, I believe there are necessary procedures that have to be put in place because public safety is paramount. So we have to live with it to make sure this epidemic doesn't go further than it has right now.
Okay, you talked about how helpful the Chinese government has been. What about the Nigerian embassy in Wuhan?
The Nigerian embassy in Wuhan, so far, they came out to recognize the fact that we are in this plight, and they gave us words of encouragement. And so far, so good. At least the ambassador from his own personal pocket, so we're made to understand, he was able to give us some money to help with taking care of our basic needs. Because, you know, at the beginning stage of this epidemic, there was a lot of panic. We're not used to it. Even the confinement and all that, we're not used to it. So far, so good. To me, it's satisfactory, to be sincere.
Okay. Abdurrahim, are you in touch with other Nigerian students, and what is their perception on the development there in Wuhan?
Yes, we are all in touch. We have an association of Nigerian students here in Wuhan. The perception is divided. Some of us want to stay, some of us, because of the paranoia and things like that, they want to leave. Some of us are just here, they're thinking about the academic calendar. Some people have so the fear is in basis, but so far so good. We're okay.
Worried? What would be your...
Personally, we're doing possible to make sure that you wear cautionary measures. I'm a student here doing my PhD. My international education school in my university have been taking good care of us. I get supplies of what I need adequately, but we still need some assistance as well because, you know, things when there's a total lockdown, you don't expect things to work out the way they usually do.
All right, Abdurrahim, that will be all for now. We truly appreciate you much. I've been speaking with Abdurrahim. Take a break now. More reports when we return.
Coming on April 2nd, 2020, in the capital city of Abuja, the Ivory 8 Ball, a life-saving fundraising event featuring music and arts in aid of skin cancer patients with albinism. For participation and sponsorship, call Edidiong on 070-197-73352 or Chinwe on 090-559-61514. This event is powered by Nigerian Television Authority, TV Enterprises, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, African Independent Television, and Ray Power FM, Silverbird Television, and Rhythm FM, the Albino Foundation, the Ivory 8 Ball, for a worthy cause. Watch out.
Are you looking for a serene environment where you can relax and feel at home with family and friends? Then search no more, because Liverpool VIP Hotel and Unique Resort is the answer. At Liverpool VIP Hotel and Unique Resort, we have well-furnished standard rooms and suites, 24 hours power supply, advanced security with CCTV cameras everywhere, VIP and bush bar, restaurant with all kinds of African and continental cuisines, assorted drinks, shawarma sports, modern 80-seater conference room. And now, check this out, 30% discount for all rooms and suites for 3 months. Hurry now to Liverpool VIP Hotels and Unique Resort, located at number 4 St. Michael's Crescent, off Tombier Extension, GRA Phase 3, Port Harcourt, River State. For reservation and more information, call 080-6764-0587. Liverpool VIP Hotel and Unique Resort. True hospitality.
New digital technologies have thrown up new opportunities for online news gathering, reporting and management. NTA TV College invites online reporters, journalists, public relations practitioners, multimedia producers and freelance reporters to a special 2-week intensive course on intermediate online news reporting skills. Take advantage of the course to upscale your skills in computer-assisted reporting, social media content production strategies, online media platforms for information dissemination and management. Date 2nd to 13th March 2020. Course fee 80,000 naira per participant. Accommodation inclusive. Also running is a special 4-week intensive course on modern trends in broadcast media marketing. It is an essential course for the sales force in the broadcast media, in the public and private sector, to sharpen their skills and improve their capacities to deal with contemporary marketing challenges and competitors. Date 16th March to 9th April 2020. Course fee 100,000 naira only per participant. Accommodation inclusive. The venue for both courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College, near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College.
Newcastle United travel to London for the 2nd week in a row as they take on Crystal Palace in the league. Will they achieve the double over their host this season, or will Crystal Palace carry out their revenge? Find out as Crystal Palace hosts Newcastle United on the Premier League Live on NTA Network at 3:30 p.m. this Saturday. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Coca-Cola and Access Bank.
Thanks for rejoining us on Nationwide. And from coronavirus, we are back in Lagos to join Joy Ken Abakpoya to give us an update on the Lassa fever case in Lagos. Joy, we are aware that Lagos is a sensitive place as far as communicable diseases are concerned. What is the atmosphere like? Okay, we will be rejoining Joy later. Moving on, to achieve a well-developed nation, repositioning the family is paramount and can be achieved through proper education. Marriage counseling, parenthood sensitization, as well as providing solutions to family crisis. This assertion was made at the Muslim Family Conference held in Abuja. President Muhammadu Buhari, who was at the event, said there is need to mitigate the increasing cases of divorce and marital crisis with a view to working out recommendations on curbing all forms of marital discord and crisis.
As a nation, we must cherish the family and accord it the value, the respect, and indeed the sanctity it deserves. Our search for national rebirth, our efforts at fighting corruption and indiscipline, and our struggle for attitudinal change must all begin from the family unit.
Marriage is the institution responsible for building a family through which the human race is bred. Identifying critical material marital challenges and suggesting relevant instruments for addressing them, sensitizing families and other relevant stakeholders on their specific and collective responsibilities towards mitigating marital challenges.
Because nobody from any part of the world will come and solve our own problems for us. No matter how big a country is, it's not bigger than Nigeria. Nigeria first, and we sit together and solve our problems ourselves because we know what the problems are.
Justice in a marriage means that if a man takes the privilege of being the head of the family, he takes the responsibility of being the maintainer and provider of the family.
Other speakers urged state governors and relevant stakeholders to promote family values so as to curb the divorce trend. And we now take you to our earlier report where we told you that Nigeria has been thrown into the mix of who and under what condition access or entry into the country is permissible and granted. We now join our correspondent Victor Azu, who is at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, for more on this. Victor, how explicit or not is a visa on arrival in practical terms? Perhaps you could take us through the process from... We will definitely rejoin Victor at the airport later, but moving to the legislature now, the senators urged the Federal Ministry of Education to include computer studies and information communication technology as a basic prerequisite for teacher qualification. The Senate, while considering the report of its Committee on Basic and Secondary Education on the urgent need to address what it described as the sorry state of computer education in Nigeria, also called on the federal government to partner states to strengthen the national computer policy. The motion canvasses adequate training of teachers in computer studies, provision of computers, and the provision of solar energy agencies to enable them expand their scope to cover computer studies and ICT in schools. Still staying with the National Assembly, the House of Representatives has urged the federal government to appoint additional justices for the Supreme Court to fast-track dispensation of justice. In a motion, Representative Luke Onofiok points out that the current number of 13 justices at the Supreme Court falls short of the number provided in the Constitution. The House noted that when more justices are appointed, the ever-increasing number of appeals filed by the Supreme Court would witness speedy dispensation. The House has adopted a motion from Representative Samson Oko urging relevant authorities to prevent the spread of a yet-to-be-identified disease, which had so far claimed more than 30 lives in the community in Benue State, bordering Enugu and Ebonyi states. 19 bills passed through first reading. Years of advocacy and lobbying for voting rights of Nigerians in the diaspora may be coming to a head with the Nigerian in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, now seemingly leading the troops favorably disposed to the idea. The argument has often been that if Nigerians in the diaspora contribute significantly to the economy of the nation, Why are their rights to participate in the electoral process restricted? However, Section 77, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution states that every citizen of Nigeria who has attained the age of 18 years residing in Nigeria at the time of the registration of voters for purposes of the election at a legislative house shall be entitled to be registered as a voter. For that, anything is to change that part of the country first or mission around the pause for another shortly.
It's like making a steps while the world is going forward and the school is making a step.
Carrying it is also from it. Away from overfood, properly covered at night, and consumption. Wash fruits properly before you eat. Maintain regular hand wash with soap and water, as well as environmental sanitation. Report all feverish conditions and bleeding from the nose or mouth to the health facility nearest to you, and don't indulge in self-medication. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA.
Newcastle United travel to London for the second week in a row as they take on Crystal Palace in the league. Will they achieve the double over their host this season, or will Crystal Palace carry out their revenge? Find out as Crystal Palace hosts Newcastle United on the Premier League Live on NTA Network at 3:30 p.m. this Saturday. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Coca-Cola and Access Bank.
Thanks for rejoining us. With me in the studio is Ezeaka Chidozie, a staff of the NITCAM, and Barrister Judge Ikechukwu, a Nigerian based in Germany, from our Enugu Network studio. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Talking about diaspora voting, are you worried that the odds may not favor proponents, especially when you consider issues of cost and technology?
Well, thank you for having me. I think as a staff of NITCOM, and NITCOM as a commission, I've taken this thing into consideration, before million Nigerians living abroad. NITCOM have taken into consideration the cost aspect of diaspora voting. They've taken into consideration the issue of logistic. They've taken into consideration the issue of e-voting, because some have alleged fear that Nigeria is not ripe, for e-voting, based on technological advancement, as it is applicable in advanced world. But NITCOM have come to realize that before we have diaspora voting, the issue of cost, cost implementation, because we know that this will be very much expensive. We've taken into consideration the issue of e-voting. We've taken into consideration the issue of whether the vote can be by proxy or whether it can be by post or by absentee voters.
So talking about Nigeria not being ripe, let me join Barrister Judge Ikechukwu in Enugu. Do you consider the advocacy for diaspora voting rights a justifiable cause?
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
I think at this point in time, I think it's a very, very justifiable cause. Bearing in mind that Nigerians have the highest number of immigrants in the sub-Saharan countries. So, and the issue of what I think most of the times is to discuss is the technicality, and we can just start maybe with one of the elections, let's say the presidential election, so that we cannot take, so that we shouldn't take everything at the same time. So as far as I'm concerned, I think we are really, really ripe to, like the staff of NITCOM also said, we are ripe to engage in diaspora voting.
What would you like this diaspora voting to cover? Presidential, gubernatorial? What do you expect it to cover?
bearing in mind one of the few handicaps we have in terms of logistics in Nigeria, and there might also be some legal hindrances. So I will suggest we start with the presidential, which is also a national election. So maybe we start with the presidential, and then we don't go down to this House of Rep and the Senate. So from that, by doing so, it's going to be kind of specimen to know how to now trickle down up to local government and councillorship election. So these are all things that are possible, and these are all things that most countries in the Western world are doing. And Nigeria, being the giant of Africa, that like we always say ourselves, I think we are equal to the task.
George, let me come back to you now, Ezeaka. What are the issues to consider for this to work?
Well, you see, countries of the world are evolving, in the area of dynamics that is happening across the global world. And Nigerian, being that futuristic global equalizer, shouldn't be left out in what is happening across the world. As regards the diaspora voting, over 115 countries of the world are engaged in diaspora voting. And it may interest you to know that 28 countries are from Africa. Even countries who are not even as developed as Nigeria, countries who are not as democratically strong as Nigeria.
We actually hope that we get through with that. Thank you very much, Ezeaka Chidozie of NITCOM and Barrister George Ikechukwu, a Nigerian based in Germany. Moving on now, Indonesian investors have indicated interest in Nigeria's food processing value chain. This forms part of discussions between Indonesian ambassador to Nigeria and Nigeria's Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Richard Ni Adebayo. The Indonesians are looking at artificial insemination for cattle towards increased production of milk, food and beverages.
President Muhammadu Buhari verbally gave a green light and responded positively on the Indonesian government request for the extension of the importation of crude oil from Nigeria. Nevertheless, the process is still pending. That I wish that you able capacity and leadership can be extended to help expedite the negotiation process so that the business deal between an NPC and Pertamina can be realized and signed soon.
The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment is seeking more investment from Indonesia, given the country's experience in agriculture, mineral development and oil.
We have free trade zones. So the special economic zones we want to set up, we want to build industrial parks. So we're looking for people, for companies to come into those industrial parks and come and manufacture their goods there. It's 100% duty free. You bring, because it's for export market.
Okay.
So you just bring your machinery, no duty. Bring in your raw materials, no duty. You don't pay taxes. You just manufacture and you export.
The two parties agreed that strengthened trade relations will have a multiplier effect on the economy of both nations. Nigeria remains Indonesia's biggest trading partner in Africa, with $2.9 billion volume of trade as at 2018. And it's time to join Michael in our Lagos Network Center for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Michael.
For joining us in Lagos. Lagos State government has begun contact tracing of the indexed Lassa fever patients to avoid the spread of the disease. Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, disclosed these at a media briefing in Lagos. Joy Ken Abakboya brings us details of these and the current situation of the patients.
Since news broke of the resurgence of Lassa fever in 2019, residents of Lagos have been apprehensive of the disease spreading into the state and the state government has been collaborating with the Federal Ministry of Health and the Nigeria Center for Disease Control to prevent the importation of the disease. Despite this effort, however, a case of Lassa fever has been confirmed in Lagos. In a telephone conversation, Chairman Medical Advisory Committee, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Professor Wasiu Adeyemo, says the patient, a young male, is currently undergoing treatment in an isolation facility at the hospital.
I can confirm that we have a case of Lassa fever that was admitted 2 days ago. And after we confirmed that, after the diagnosis was made, we also ensured that there was no undue exposure to any of our frontline staff before and after the case was confirmed.
Dr. Johan Akase, a consultant infectious disease physician, has been managing the patient.
We came into Lagos for a function about 10 days ago and developed symptoms while he was in Lagos. So when he came, we suspected Lassa and we tested him and it was positive. And we admitted him into the isolation area where away from other people. And we started treatment. So far he has responded very well. And for now we don't anticipate that there's going to be any issues with him.
With a robust biosecurity strategy and bio-level 3 laboratory in place, the Lagos State Ministry of Health says it is set to contain the outbreak.
Everything is under control in Lagos. There is no cause for alarm. We are confident that we are not going to have a situation where this singular Lassa fever patient will result in a large number of other people being infected.
According to the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, the Lagos Index case brings the number of recorded cases in Nigeria in the current outbreak to 472. 72 deaths have also been recorded, while the disease is presently in over 20 states of the Federation. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakbuya, NTA News.
Justices and law enforcement agencies are deliberating on the implementability of the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act 2019 with the view to understanding the legal framework for speedy prosecution and share ideas on likely challenges during enforcement. Correspondent report that the forum is the 9th Admiralty Law Seminar for Judges. About a week ago, precisely on the 14th of this month, a mega container ship was attacked at 200 nautical miles southwest Benin on its way to Lagos for Port Noah. Although the ship has since been rescued, but the incident is one of the numerous cases of sea robbery and pirate attacks threatening the Gulf of Guinea. On the 29th of June 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari assented to the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act, demonstrating the federal government's determination to combat such economic sabotage. The target of this forum is to examine the legal framework for implementation.
It has actually provided a platform to guide our investigators, our prosecutors on how to generate evidence, and then it has also brought into actually for how our judges need to understand where the procedures are coming from and the kind of weight they need to attach in terms of the evidence adduced.
Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, was prompt to say that with a robust legal instrument stipulating procedures for prosecution of pirates and sea armed robbers, the future of the shipping industry is guaranteed.
Government at the highest level has put in place a number of intervention measures, and one of those things the intervention measures will do is that it will reduce the number of young people available to be used for criminality.
The Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act 2019 is the first freestanding maritime law in West and Central Africa, and if other countries within the Gulf of Guinea follow suit, there will be no safe haven for all forms of maritime criminalities. Nigerians in position of authority have been challenged to strive to leave a legacy worthy of emulation, as history will remember them for the positive impacts they made on the society. This was at the valedictory court session in Lagos for the President's Court of Appeal, Justice Zainab Bukachua, as she retires.
The career and service of President Court of Appeal to the nation started 44 years ago with her appointment as the Magistrate Grade 1 in the then Kaduna State Judicial Service. Through sheer dint of hard work, patriotism and scholarship, Justice Zainab Adamu Bukachua rose to become the first acting president of the Court of Appeal in 2012, 14 years after coming to the Court of Appeal. She was later confirmed in 2014 as the first female president of the Court of Appeal.
I want to be remembered as that woman who led life, who did the best she could in every situation.
Those who spoke at the valedictory session described her meritorious, selfless, and enviable contributions to the administration of justice in the country as one that will be greatly missed.
Ask ourselves, all of us, senior members of the bar, members of the bench, that what kind of legacy are we going to bequeath to those who are taking over from us?
When she gave her story, it was clear that throughout her judicial career, she was balancing being a wife, being a mother, having children.
I do hope that many who are still on the bench, and those that will come and join the bench, will learn from her history.
She has been so meticulous. She has done her job very, very well. You can see the crowd of people that came to attend the valedictory session.
On March 6, 2020, Justice Zainab Adamu Bukachua will finally bow out after 44 years on the bench. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Lagos. Back to you, Hawa, for the continuation of Nationwide.
Very well, Michael. Moving on, rehabilitation work on the 1.4-kilometer Makurdi New Bridge across the River Benue is advancing steadily. Charles Arba reports that the contractor has promised to beat the April deadline.
One month into the rehabilitation work on the Makurdi New Bridge, so far, 2 out of the 14 expansion joints to the first arm of the bridge have been scraped, and work has moved to the third one.
I would like to know how far the work has gone.
Site engineer.
I have much work to do here. After this scarification, I'm going to overlay asphalt. After that, I'm going to change the handrails, and where the slab are bad, I'm going to change them as well. And the other side of the bridge as well, I have a retaining wall there to do.
The site engineer reiterated that the ongoing work on the lane would be completed on time. Meanwhile,
motorists are being subjected to the use of one-lane traffic instead of the existing 2.
The rehabilitation of the 2-lane project, according to the contractor, is built to be completed in 1 year. In Makurdi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
And today is the commemoration of the World Day of Social Justice, an annual United Nations event to encourage and promote development and human dignity. Thematically, social justice is advanced when barriers that people face because of their gender, age, race, ethnicity, religion and culture, or disability are discouraged and removed. However, some entrenched culture make practice and applicability difficult to enforce, inhibiting progress and stalling balance. The theme for this year's event is closing the inequality gap for social justice. And I'm now being joined in the studio by a rights activist, Comrade Solomon Adodo, to talk more on this. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good day, Nigerians.
Okay. Talking about inequality, how wide is the gap between ideas and reality in the realm of social justice in Nigeria?
Now, of course, it's glaring. We've had challenges of inequality from ages back, and it's widening. What's important now is how we can close that gap, and what is being done to close that gap. Saying there is a gap is obvious. Okay. It's very obvious. But how can we close that gap?
Okay.
And in closing that gap, we need to see how we can lift more of our people out of extreme poverty, how we can get more of our youths employed and engaged, because at the root of social injustices leading to all of these crimes we face as a nation. So when we can close this gap, we will discover that the things that militate against nationhood, against progress, against development will also be brought down. So how can we begin to create more jobs? How can we begin to lift more people out of poverty?
I was just going to ask about your assessment of government initiative like the SIP.
Yes. Now these are very welcome developments. You see, the social investment programs. You found out that prior to this time, we had so many people excluded. People in the lower dregs of poverty, you know, that's poverty within poverty, who could not access maybe a decent meal a day, who could not access some services. Young men and women who were out of school and had nothing doing. Thankfully, the Empower program came up, absorbing most of them. Thankfully, all of the social investment programs came in, also giving them hope. You know, children malnourished and all of that. You could see pictures everywhere, you know, but today we have a scenario where these social investment programs have come to the rescue. They've at least put sort of cushion to ensure that we don't go beneath some level. Now, having done that, it's high time we move to the next level. How can we begin to engage productivity? How can we begin to ensure that the young men and women who were involved in Empower, from what they garnered, from the experiences they garnered, having been served by the nation, how can we raise them up to also serve the nation? How can we bring them to that plane of innovative productivity? Now, when that is done, you'll discover that they'll be more engaged. We will be closing the gap. Ideas are all out there. Let's see how we can translate these ideas. They are potentials. Move from potentials to productivity. Like Lee Kuan Yew moved Singapore from third world to first world. It's possible in Nigeria.
Adodo, thank you very much for coming to the Network News studio.
Thank you very much for having me.
Moving on now, I understand our correspondent Victor Azu is now ready for us from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. Hello, Victor. How explicit or not is the visa on arrival in practical terms? Perhaps, if possible, take us through the process from arrival to exit.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a simple process, as simple as you can have it. In fact, it's not a big deal. It's as small a deal as this place is small. Now, when you look just behind me, you see the first cubicle. That is the first port of call for those who seek visa on arrival. They arrive at that point, do their documentation at that point, and it is escalated to the second cubicle from where the documentation process that has been done on that person is sent to what they call the virtual embassy. They call it the virtual embassy, it's a code name for them here, and from there the process is completed. Payment is made and all is set. That's for those from other parts of the world. But for African nationals, nationals of African countries, based on the new policy of the federal government, those that are from African countries, all they need do is to do their registration, visit the NIS portal from wherever they are, do their registration there, make their payments, and wait. They get what is called an approval, of course, a visa on arrival approval. Once they get the visa on arrival approval, they can then proceed to Nigeria to complete the process once they get to this point. That's how simple it is.
Thank you, Victor, for that update. Moving on, and a report just in says the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has described as unfortunate, sensational and outright disinformation the hysteria that has been generated about the proposed $500 million loan being sought from China, saying it is wrong to report that the loan is for NTA alone. Correspondent Anthony Forson reports that the minister gave the breakdown of what the loan will be used for at a media briefing, explaining that 3 critical projects have been targeted: to construct a headquarters complex for transmission network for integrated television services, ITS, the federal government-owned signal distributor, which is a major component for the nation's digital switch-over project.
Is also meant to build an ultra-modern media city that will have the following facilities: indoor-outdoor shooting area, animation production facility, Digital Media Training Center, world-class cinema, a 4-star hotel, an amusement park, and an amphitheater.
Train Nigerian broadcasters and filmmakers in the production of high-quality media content programs. This will make Nigeria a hub for digital content in sub-Saharan Africa. The loan will also cover the digitization of all NTA stations, headquarters, 12 zonal stations, 36 state capital stations and 76 community stations, just as it will support the upgrade, installation and purchasing of relevant digital TV broadcasting equipment compatible with DSO products that are necessary for modern television broadcast standard. And we now go over to our Benin Network Center where Agatha is on standby. It's over to you, Agatha.
Thank you, Hawa. A warm welcome to Benin. Edo State government has taken delivery of mechanized farm implements under its agripreneur program. Now, the program is aimed at ensuring food security and boosting the economic prosperity of its citizens. Good luck in Inaini reports.
The move to revamp the agricultural sector began in 2016 when the state government launched the Agripreneur program aimed at boosting food security. 3 years down the line, the state government is stepping up the program.
As at the time we started our production last year and we went as far as Kaduna and Kano states to be able to get tractors in. But thanks to you, today we have them present here in Edo State.
For Governor Baseki, this is one sure way farmers in the state will get better results. He says state government will ensure agric mechanized hub is replicated in the 2 other senatorial districts.
From my experience, starting with Sobe through what we did last year, it is clear that under our agripreneur program, where up to 5 hectares is given or allotted to each farmer, that one investment that will make the yields very high, and it will be mechanization.
Some farmers who were part of the previous agripreneur program were given checks as profits accrued to them under the program.
This is the first time that we've seen the government assisting farmers and farmers making out of it.
The governor also inspected over 2,000 fish ponds being constructed by the state government for Libya returnees who have been trained in that regard. In Benin, good luck in Inaini, NTA News.
2 persons have been confirmed dead in a court-related clash in the Benin metropolis. Public Relations Officer of Edo State Police Command, Chidi Wabuzo, confirmed this, also said some suspects have been arrested. Obehi Otoba Presai reports.
The court clash occurred at 7 o'clock in the evening on Upper Sakmomba, one of the highly populated areas in the city. Though calm has returned to the area, some shop owners who alleged that their shops were looted are counting their losses.
They stole many money, the entire POS offices, even those who are selling along the road, they were with some guns and battle axe and cutlass. Somebody were killed there. So we all had to lock our shop. But getting to the office this morning, we see that my shop is broken.
I did this place, I thought they go like 15 years. When I did across there, now so they break my storage like 10 times.
The police says there is no cause for alarm as it is on top of the situation.
The first case was one, that is Mr. Lucky Ogedewe, while the second one was one other person. And in these 2 reported cases of a secret court fight, so far so good. A handful number of 30 suspects have been arrested and they are currently under investigation.
Meanwhile, the corpse of the young men who died in the clash have since been deposited in the morgue. In Benin, Obehi Otoba Presai, NTA News.
That's our package. Hawa, it's back to you.
Very well, Agatha. Moving on now, to ensure effective reintegration and rehabilitation of Boko Haram ex-fighters, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is ready to partner Operation Safe Corridor. A multinational and multi-agency humanitarian gesture has been established to that effect. Let's now join Ruth Agwele for more.
In September 2015, the federal government gave a directive for the establishment of Operation Safe Corridor to ensure willing and repentant ex-Boko Haram fighters be reintegrated into the society. And in 2016, the activities of Operation Safe Corridor kicked off. Today, this visit by the Operation Safe Corridor to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is to establish a strong partnership and also recount some of the activities from 2016 till date. Also reel out some of the challenges being faced in reintegrating some of these ex-Boko Haram members into the society.
Since we released them to the state governments, we have not received any report of hostility against them in the communities where they have been reintegrated.
And he also debunked the rumor making wave on the social media that some of these ex-Boko Haram members have been recruited into the Nigerian army.
That's a false news. I do not think any member of Boko Haram is qualified to be recruited into the Nigerian military.
The ministry commended the efforts of Operation Safe Corridor and established the fact that they are ready to partner to achieve the desired result.
This strategy is very important for us as a country. It's a way of even sending a signal to these people that are out there stabilizing this country, that the government has opened its doors for them to have a rethink, come back home.
For both parties here, the fight against insurgency is a collective responsibility. Also, it is worthy of note that the camp, which is located in Gombe State, is open for visit by the general public for verification. In Abuja, Ruth Agwele, NTA News.
Sports now. Ayo Deji Makinde is on standby.
Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Dare has charged the steering committee of the Sports Industry Working Group to initiate sustainable frameworks which will boost sports business in the country. The minister gave the charge while inaugurating the 14-member committee, split into two groups of 7 each of public and private sector committees.
All Nigerians look to see you drive the that we expect.